All right, we're still here at Beat the Daily Grind for community culture and conversation. We're recording our radio show, The Light, which airs Monday through Thursdays, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we're here with my good friend, Tim Alexander, who is I don't know how we describe him. He's run for political office. I have him come on and discuss politics and civic engagement from time to time. And so here's what I'll do. Before we get into the hot seat and the hot water with Tim, I'll have him introduce himself. That's the best way to do it.
Good afternoon and to everyone here, and thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be at this spot because this is historic. African-American owned coffee shop in Atlantic City is a wonderful thing. So as far as who I am, my name is Tim Alexander. I have run for political office. I am also a civil rights attorney, and I'm an activist. And I am on the cusp, along with others, of starting a revolution, of pushing back against the policies of the current administration in a way that we've never seen since we had to last time in the 60s. So we are working on multi-factor. I'm going to pretty soon announce another political candidate run, but that's not why I'm here today. I'm here to talk about the need to get in those streets. And the reality here is that people need to see the number of people affected by these policies that are coming in effect. The most harshest, the second to most harshest in January of 2026. And then conveniently for the administration, the worst of them after the primaries in 2026. So they're strategically laid out, and we want to educate people on the harms because we will know somebody. This is not just about immigration. This is also about Medicaid and the harms and the effect that that's going to have on our communities. It's about SNAP going away and the harms and effects that's going to have. As a child growing up on SNAP or whatever the version was then, we called it reduced lunch. And I had the little card, and I would forget it every other day. So the cashiers at the lunch lady would look after me by taking my card from me and leaving it in the cash register. That way I had lunch every day. But that was pivotal to us. My mom was a single mom who had to work 2 jobs. And, I had an older sister who was cooking the meals and taking care of us. And older sister, still an older sister. She was still a teenager. So sometimes we were on our own. And the bottom line is that those type programs are gone. Not reduced, gone. Public housing. He has implemented a program now that if you're in public housing for 2 years, you're out.
No more Section 8.
No more Section 8. And no more opportunity to help with a hand up. They see every program as a hand out and not what they are, which is a hand up that help people. And I'm going to use my mom again, who got into public housing through HUD. She got a house built in Vineland in 1979, and it was brand new. And she had 5 years in that house. In 5 years, she had reduced payment for rent, portion of which went to a mortgage. At the end of the 5 years, she had to qualify for the mortgage or she had to move. My mom brought that house. And my mom stayed in that house till she retired and moved to Georgia. So the reality is that was a great program, and the families to the left and right of us were there from day one, and they're still there today. So to me, that is a remarkable way of allowing people the opportunity for home ownership. We don't think that way anymore, and this is why it's so important that we rise up. And we could talk about the immigration policies of the jackboot Gestapo/ICE out there scooping up American citizens and shipping them off to another country. We just got 10 of them back. Can you imagine that? Did you sitting in some jail in El Salvador with the most hardened criminals, and there's 8 per cell? And these people have committed some of the most atrocious crimes, and you did nothing. You're an American citizen minding your business. We just had in California, an Army veteran, American citizen, served for his country, detained for 2 weeks from California, detained in New Jersey. Now, come on, what are we doing here? And this is the voice, this is what we have to be out there talking about. I don't want 100 people showing up. I want 1,000 people showing up. And when people are addressing those crowds, I want people in those crowds to say, me too. Or not me personally, but my cousin or my niece or my child, right? Anyone who has any negative impact from this program is who I want out. We're also starting a podcast. It's called Project 1863. And that is to signify the so-called liberties and freedom we received on January 1st, 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation, but also recognize that it didn't free all of us. It didn't free the Union slaves. Those who were enslaved in Union states had to stay enslaved. And then when they were freed, those slaveholders were compensated. Now, we talk about trying to get reparations, and the reality is they laugh in our face. And so that's not what the premise of the podcast, that's the spirit of the podcast. We're going to talk about issues that you heard today, but we're going to call people to the hot seat. We're going to get our elected officials in there, and they're going to talk to us about what's going on. And I'll tell you, I'm a Democrat, lifelong. But right now, the Democratic Party is asleep at the switch. It's asleep, and it needs to wake up. That playbook that they have needs to go out the window. And you're going to see a whole different type of campaign, talking from a person who ran twice before and used that old playbook. And it's enough. It's not what the people want. It's not connected to the people. We are reinventing. Call us what you want. I'm a Democrat, and I'm hijacking that. All right, and I'm taking it away from those who say we can't swing at every issue. We got to pick and choose. When people are getting booted out of their homes and children are going to go hungry, people are not going to have their health cares. I'll pick all those issues, and we're going to fight every single one of them. And right now, you know, where I ran before, I ran on economics, and I ran on affordability, and I had some housing programs. I got a big old issues book. It's 1.5 inches thick, and it's got all kind of wonderful ideas in there. I'm going to burn it because it means nothing until we get control of the House, preferably the Senate, and absolutely the White House. We can't talk about those things. You know what we need to talk about? Leadership. We need leadership. We need people to stand up and say, enough's enough. I can't stand this. You guys are quiet. I'm discarding you, and I'm going with someone who's going to raise a little hell about these issues. And they're going to get other people out there to do the same until we can shut this down. And we can. And we're going to be targeted where we go. We're not going to just stand in the park or on the boardwalk. We're going to the veterans housing because they're under attack. We're going to go to the welfare building because they're under attack. We're going to go where the fight needs to be taken every single time. I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to keep you out of trouble. All right? And you're not going to go foul, you're not going to get locked up, and they're not going to bring the dogs on you. We're going to do it right. But we are going to do it loud, and we're going to do it often until we start seeing a significant shift in our politics and our leaders, that they get off their duffs and get busy. That's my introduction, by the way.
Well, you know me, I have a bunch of questions that I don't think I'm going to be able to ask them all today. So I will ask you one, and then I'll let you go. Because, you know, we have an open door policy, so you can always come back and do the longer form interview either at the station or here. I thought you were going to come next week, actually, by the way, but I'm glad you're here. So my question is this. I got two, but...
Ask them both.
Okay, so I'll try and ask them both. My question is this. What is your take on Democrats who visit places like the concentration camp in Florida? They go, they tell you, oh, this is bad, and this is bad, and they got people overcrowding, and this is bad, and the food is bad, and people haven't eaten. Okay, now that y'all know everything is bad, I'm gonna go back home to my air conditioning and be okay. But it's bad out there for those people over there. to me sounds like gaslighting. But what is your take?
So I use I'm a lawyer. I have an MBA. I have a business education background, but I'm an engineer by heart. My first go at college was aeronautical science engineering. I believe that skill set allows me to dismantle and find solutions. The issue that you raise is 100%, right? It's that, oh, this is bad. Let me get my media clip and show people that I care and I'm out there with them. And then they go back and they have pinky out cocktails with the Hollywood elites, all right? And so my response to you is to get in those law books and see what we can do legally to dismantle these concentration camps. And you aptly named it, is a concentration camp. We are putting people in there, and we don't care if they happen to be citizens because they have Latino background. That's good enough, right? And you have the former president, I'm getting ahead of myself. President Trump saying things like, well, I like this so much of shipping people to other countries, I'm going to look at some of our own criminals and see if we can ship them there. This is spreading. We can't have the photo op opportunities. We need to figure out how we could break it down. Are you asking me if I have a solution today? I do not, sir. But I will figure it out. And I will break it down. And we will, I promise you, given the right resources and the backing of the people, we will break it down.
My second question and my last question piggybacks on the first. We're at a point where people in office are being shot and killed at their homes. We're at a point where people in office are being arrested for trying to investigate and do their jobs, even assaulted. And then they turn around and they look at me and say, do something. You got a whole police force on your side and a whole government on your side, and you're not doing nothing. What am I supposed to do? And why are you saying I need to get there out there on the streets when you got a whole police force and you letting them assault you?
So there's a lot to unpack in your question. Let me go with this. As far as somebody coming after me, in addition to all my other skill sets, 27 years in law enforcement. I'm a retired captain from right here in Atlantic County. I was with the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office. And I primarily worked three functions: homicide, gangs, and narcotics. That was my thing, and I just kept bouncing around every time I got promoted. But the reality, and with that reality, the people who advocate for the Second Amendment, but not the other 20-some amendments, I'll side with them for a second. If you want to come for me, come, but you better be prepared. You better be ready. Because as a retired law enforcement officer, I carry a pistol for the rest of my life. Plain and simple. Be warned. Come if you're going to come, and deal with the consequences as a result. Now, to the other point, as far as what you pointed out, that goes back to Democratic leadership, right? When have you turned on CNN or MSNBC or any of the news outlets and you saw some of these ICE agents from the field running around with these masks on, sitting before Congress answering questions? The answer, never, never. The only time we had congressional hearings was when they were talking about them down there in the southern border. I haven't seen one person held accountable for what they're doing on the street. I wrote a paper about it as a love letter to my fellow law enforcement officers in ICE. And I reminded them of what happened post-World War II in Nuremberg. It was accountability. And there will be accountability. We will have control of the House again. We will have control of the White House again. You're going to have to stand on that carpet and you will not receive a presidential pardon. If we're smart about this, there won't be a single investigation per se. We could do inquiries, we could have hearings, but not a single investigation until Trump's out of office. Why? Because then he has no grounds to issue not a single pardon. And if he issues pardons without cause, then he's saying, I know they broke the law, and therefore I'm going to give them a pardon. And if that's the case, they identify them, then we take them to the states. And we say to California, to New York, to New Jersey, prosecute these people. because your pardon doesn't help you on the state level, only federal. And now you just made it easier for us because you told us who needs a pardon, meaning who broke the law, and we're coming for you. So that's the issue, is again back to leadership and accountability both ways. I want these ICE officers held accountable for their actions. I need them to be held accountable for their actions. But I also believe that we need to hold our leadership accountable for their actions, more aptly in action. So this is a referendum that we're about to have, a reckoning come November of next year, where we are going to send a signal to Washington and New Jersey and everywhere else, wherever politicians may be, that you have failed us. The GOP is being the GOP. They are afraid of their own shadow. And what Trump says, it goes. All right? It's like a child that knows no better. You know, you don't discipline the child, you turn to the parent. What's wrong with you? Why is your kid tearing things up? All right? So here, that parent is the Democratic Party. And they're not doing anything about their spoiled, obstinate children. They're letting them run amok. And if somebody was to look at this video and write a comment, well, what could they do? They could start anywhere, so much. You can start anywhere, but start with letting us know. Let us know what you're doing. What is the plan? Because as much as I love, I really truly mean it, I've met him, I've had great conversations with him. I love Hakeem Jeffries. He is driving me nuts with this baseball metaphor that you can't swing at every ball coming down the plate. And then I think he took a picture with a bat in his office the other day. Oh, and you go to the other side to Senator Schumer. I wrote a stern letter to the president. This guy doesn't even read intelligence briefings. You think he read? He had how many days of intelligence briefings since he took office in January to today, and he doesn't read them? I don't think your stern letter went anywhere, sir. Let me be the first one to say it to you. And don't tell me that's your plan. I want to hear what we're going to do. I want to get people out. I want you to be as mad as I am. And the only way you can be that way is to be educated as I am on these issues. Right? Because you don't have to have a PhD to understand this shit is wrong. Excuse my language. You can bleep that out. This is wrong. And it's time for us to stand up and speak up. This is the same as the 60s. It's the same as the 70s. My family lived in Newark during the Newark riots. They were out there. And I'm ready to walk in their footsteps, not riots, but walk in their footsteps and make sure that our voices are heard. As Dr. King said, riot is the voice of the unheard. And so we're gonna do a riot without violence, without damage to property, and have our voices heard. Plain and simple.
Ladies and gentlemen, that's Tim Alexander. I feel compelled to say the views spoken by Tim Alexander are those of Tim Alexander, and not necessarily the views of Atlantic City Focus, Stockton University. But, you know, we got to say that. Thank you for stopping by, and we welcome you back. And also, if you are independent or Republican, we got a hot seat for you too. So it's not just for Democrats.
I would love to hear it.
All right. Thank you so much.